Well, good day, everybody. Chaplain Tom Taylor here for the Culture of Excellence brief for the April drill weekend of 2020. Glad that you've taken a few moments to share this experience. I hope it works okay. I've never done YouTube before, so I hope it works well. Back when we had sports, there was a show called NFL Live. And on NFL Live, in the first part of the season, there was a segment that Trey Wingo did with Tim Hasselbeck, and they called it, Should You Panic or Be Patient? They were talking about teams that had started the season really poorly, 0-3, 1-2, something like that, and wondering if their fans, if they should panic because things weren't going so well, or if they should be patient. And Tim Hasselbeck almost always told the fans to be patient, that there was some circumstance that caused the slow start. It was an interesting segment, and it was interesting to get them to think about something besides just the current record that a team had. Well, as we deal with this coronavirus epidemic that we're dealing with this week, there certainly is a lot of reason to panic. The virus itself causes fear in a lot of people. Am I going to get it next? Is it going to affect somebody who is close to me? I just got off a conference call with a number of other NOSC chaplains, and there were 4 out of 18 who had a family member who had been affected by this already. So there certainly is a reason to fear this virus itself. Another reason to worry, to panic, is a loss of a job. For some of you, that's already happened. For others, you're worried that it's the next thing that's going to happen. Perhaps as we passed the first of the month, there were bills that you didn't have the money to pay. That's a reason to panic for some people. And others have spent way too much time looking at the stock market going up and down, thinking about their TSP and their other retirement accounts, wondering, am I ever going to be able to retire? But perhaps the most difficult thing for us to deal with as we experience this is the isolation, the being alone, the loss of all of our connectivity to so many of our friends, our coworkers, and our families. Lots of things out there that we could panic about. But panicking rarely leads to good decisions. Panicking says that we're not in control. I listen to a man named Dave Ramsey on the radio quite frequently. He's a financial counselor and coach, and he said not too long ago, you always make bad decisions when you're in panicking or when you're drunk. Not good times for us to make decisions. So instead of panicking, we need to be patient. That's going to be hard for us to do this month. It's early in the month, and we know that we're going to be sequestered as we are until the end of the month at least. But we have to recognize that that's okay. Nothing's going to happen this month for any of us. So it's actually a good time for us to relax, to renew, and to review what's going on in our life. It's time for us to make plans, to think about what we're going to do when the opportunity arises for us in the future to do things. So the first thing we need to do is have a plan. And when we're having a plan, it's important for us to distinguish between 2 very important types of things. Those that we can control and those that we can't. Control is a really big thing for most of us. We like to be in control and we hate to acknowledge that we aren't. But it's been so much a part of our lives that there's a prayer out there in our society. It's been around since the 1940s when it was introduced by a theologian by the name of Reinhold Niebuhr. And it's used now extensively by Alcoholics Anonymous and other self-help groups. It's a very simple prayer called the Serenity Prayer. And it says this, it says, grant me the courage to change the things I can, the peace to accept the things I cannot change, and the wisdom to know the difference. In this case, the wisdom comes third, but it's that courage to change the things that I can that comes first. And that's what we need to find in our lives. We don't want to waste a lot of energy on things that we don't control, but we do want to plan to positively impact the things that we can control. What do we need to do? What do we need to put in place to have a plan to positively impact the things that we can control. So think of some of those things that we're talking about panicking. How can we control some of those things? We have a fear of the virus. How do we control that? Well, we follow the separation guidelines that we've been given. We stay at home. We avoid contact. We wash our hands more often than we've ever washed our hands before. We can take control of that. Our job loss. Well, maybe we've lost our job, maybe we haven't. But we can take control if we do. More on that to come. How about money? Are there bills that can't be paid? Well, let's talk about that. All of us need to sit down and look at our money for this month of April and come up with a budget. A budget is real simple. Top part of the page is what's coming in, bottom part of the page is what's going out. If the what's going out part is more than the what's coming in part, well, then we need to make changes. We're going to have to cut some things. And so then we're going to focus on the four walls, the things that really matter that we need to pay for and take care of first. One of those is food. That's number one. Second is housing. Third is utilities. And fourth is transportation. Now, some of you probably heard that because of the new CARES Act, you're not going to have your utilities cut off and you're not going to get kicked out because you don't pay your rent. But you have to remember that that is not a forgiveness, it's a forbearance. Your rent or your mortgage payment doesn't go away, it just gets pushed back later in time. So if you can make those payments now, you should make those payments now. If you can make your car payment now, you should make your car payment now. If you can make your utility payment now, you should make your utility payment now. Those are the things that really matter. The people you tell off are the folks from MasterCard and Visa. You just tell them, you know what, you didn't make the cut this month. There's no money. Stick to those four walls. Make sure those are taken care of first. If you have lost a job or you think you're going to lose a job, it's probably not a great time to look. There's just not a lot of people who are doing interviews during a time when we're supposed to be sequestered at home. But you can do things. You can work on your resume. Make sure that it's ready. Go online, find the resources that are out there, fine-tune it, and make sure that you're going to shine when the time comes and people start hiring again. You can also work on yourself, and that's really important. You want to be able to say that you did something during this time. Learn a new skill. Take a course. There's so many things that you can do, and you can do them online, and you can do them for nothing. I use a system called Coursera that offers lots of courses online taught by college professors, 4 to 6 weeks long, and they don't cost anything at all. Use those in order to improve yourself for that next job. And read. Too many of us, I think, are going to sit home looking at the television and finding some new show to binge watch. But instead, if we sit down and open a book, we can broaden our horizons, prepare ourselves for the next job. Kindle, audiobooks, audible.com, so many different resources. One that I'd recommend to you if you are looking for a new job is a book called The Proximity Principle. It's written by a man named Ken Coleman. And right now, you can get that book on Dave Ramsey's website, daveramsey.com/hope, for only $1.99. They'll give you the access to the audiobook. What a great opportunity for you to broaden your horizons for next to no money. The other thing we have to deal with this time, this challenging time, is the isolation. The fact that we're alone. The fact that I'm sitting here in my study in front of an iPhone instead of standing in front of a room talking to all of you and looking at your reactions. The fact that if we do have jobs, we're likely working from home and not being able to be right there with our bosses, with our peers, with our subordinates in order to gauge what's going on in their lives and help them the best that we can. That isolation is a big deal. But there are certainly things that we can do to overcome that. We can reach out to old friends, to relatives we haven't talked to for a while. We can check on that neighbor next door who might be alone. We do it with FaceTime. We do it with, I've increased my FaceTiming incredibly in the last 2 weeks. I learned how to Zoom for the first time ever, and last week had all my kids and grandkids on at the same time, and it was wonderful. And then, of course, there's what we called, when I came in the Navy, we called it POTS, plain old telephone service. Pick up the phone, dial a number, say hello to somebody you haven't talked to for a while. These are things that we can control. But we also have to recognize that they're things that are out of our control. We can't control everything. We can't fix everything. And for those things, my solution is to give them to God. I don't ask God for reasons for why things happen. I'm not going to spend my time in prayer asking God why the coronavirus happened. Instead, I'm going to say, okay, Lord, what should I be doing? What do I need to do now? Because that's a prayer that gets answered, and that's a prayer that gives me direction, and that's a prayer that gives me hope. Finally, I want you to remember that the coronavirus is a watershed moment in our country and in our lives. It's one of those things that we're going to remember forever, just like we remember 9/11, just like some of us who are old enough remember the first time that men walked on the moon. I know that's not most of you, but it is me. When our kids and our grandkids 20, 30 years from now sit down and ask us, what did you do during the coronavirus outbreak? Wouldn't it be great if you had a good answer? Wouldn't it be great if you can tell them you did something meaningful during this time? Tell them about the books that you read. Tell them about the book that you wrote. Tell them how you remodeled the house. Tell them how you exercised so much you lost those 20 pounds you've been carrying around for 10 years. I encourage each one of you watching today to pick a goal for this month and reach it. Then when it's done and we're back together, we'll have something to talk about, something to share. And we will get back together and we will get through this. And we will have an opportunity to share. In the meantime, please don't panic. Stay patient and understand that we are here for you in any way possible. A couple of resources I'd like to throw out to you. The Reserve Chaplain Corps has established a chaplain hotline. It spans 24 hours a day throughout the crisis for anybody who needs any assistance, guidance, encouragement, or just a friendly voice. Write down this number for me. It's 757-322-5650. Again, that's 757-322-5650. 24 hours a day, that number is going to be forwarded to the cell phone of a chaplain who has volunteered to be there for you, to hear what your concerns are, and to encourage you and inspire you in the best way possible. If you want to reach out directly to me, if you're a Twitter person, I am at ATP Taylor. That's Alpha Tango Papa, Tango Alpha Yankee, Lima Oscar Romeo. ATP TAYLOR on Twitter. Or you can send me an email, my Navy email, thomas.taylor6@navy.mil. I do hope I'll hear from some of you. I hope you've enjoyed this short time that we've spent together. And I do hope that soon we'll be able to do it again in person. However, May Drill Weekend, look for another video as we continue our culture of excellence. Thank you, and God bless.